When selecting plants, we were looking at the different areas within our exhibit. So for example, we do have a small wetland area, so we're looking at native species that would incorporate those habitats like Juncus, Equisetum, similar species. There's also another corner that is more edible focused, so wild food plants like cherries, as well as cultivated annuals and perennials. By growing all of our own plants here on site in our greenhouses, this gives us more flexibility in the number and type of species that we do. So for example, we're able to do more unconventional species that most wholesale growers wouldn't be growing. It also gives our students a unique opportunity to get hands-on experience forcing plants and plant production.
I'm working on a lot of the production right now for the flower show plants, specifically a lot of the watering and fertilizing and general maintenance like pruning of the plants to make sure everything looks great for the show.
So what I've been working on is pretty much just trying to get the actual plants to leaf out and flower. So a lot of it is trying to pace them in a way that they don't leaf out or flower too late or too early. So that's a little bit of a challenge. We've been moving stuff from either the hoop house to the greenhouse or the greenhouse to the hoop house, like vice versa, depending on what the plant needs, if it needs to slow down or if we need to kick it up a notch and have it bloom and flower earlier.
Specifically for the flower show, I'm a student greenhouse worker, so I'm helping to assist the directed study students as well as the greenhouse manager in keeping the plants up to date and on track to make sure that they properly leaf out or flower for the show. So that is a bunch of different tasks that moves from moving the plants, checking for pests, pruning the plants specifically, watering, fertilizing, all those kind of little nicks and crannies that are super important is kind of what I'm helping with.
I'm focusing specifically on pests and disease management, so keeping the plants healthy, managing any pest pressure, managing disease pressure, and really getting the plants up to their healthiest standards and aesthetic before we put the exhibit together. The exhibit is really about rejuvenation and tuning into rejuvenation through nature. So there's 3 components of the exhibit. One's more wild nature, how you find her in her natural state. Another part of the exhibit is like reclamation of nature, how nature can rejuvenate in an industrial setting, like how she returns into settings where industry and possibly urbanization is happening, and how nature can still be a part of that. And then the last component is community and how we can tie in plants to strengthen our community through gardening, through shared food. And for me, all those levels and different perspectives with horticulture really tie into the horticultural therapy and how we need nature to survive. And it's really, really beautiful. You'll see when you visit the exhibit all the ways that you can touch point nature and engage with plants, from either going a walk in the woods or maybe joining a community garden.
In terms of plants, there are a few new species we're doing. Typically we like to use about 2/3 of plants we know will work and are reliable, and 1/3 of things we'll experiment on and try some new stuff. This year some of our new species are a type of cherry tree, a Prunus virginiana, Canada Red, a native species that produces small edible fruits you can use to make jams and jellies and preserves out of. In addition to the cherry, one of the other new plants we're trying this year is a brown-eyed Susan, or Rebeckia. This is a plant we've never tried before. It blooms in early summer, so we weren't sure if we're going to be able to make it work, but so far it has flower buds on it, and we're confident that it should be open for the show. Every year we do a couple plants that are reliable, easy, and fit within the scheme of our exhibit. So this year we are doing our returning favorite of skunk cabbage. We already have 3 of them in our greenhouse. We'll be bringing them in batches through over the next couple weeks. That way we have some that are in leaf, full flower, and opening bud during the show. We're also doing things like Equisetum, Juncus, other really cool native wetland species that you might not see other places. This is the Prunus virginiana, Canada Red. It's just starting to leaf out now. You can see some of the young leaves coming out. We're hoping that we'll have some flowers for the show, but even without flowers, the foliage alone in this species is really attractive, as is the bark. So this is related to cherry trees. You have this nice red bark with prominent lenticels on it. Native species, great for wildlife habitat, nice upright habit, so we'll be using this as a edging for our pathway. There'll be a row of 4 or 5 of these all in a row. Should look really nice.
Hands-on learning is a great benefit. I've grown so much because of the work I get to do here. Being here each day, I really get to connect with the plants, and because of my experience here, I get to see what goes right and what goes wrong. And each day we have to pivot, we have to learn something new based off of what we've done and how we can move forward.
Hands-on learning is definitely a benefit because it's obviously much different than just viewing slides on a PowerPoint and just kind of like reading it as it goes. I definitely tend to learn more in general when I am doing hands-on learning, and Ben especially is great about that because as I am doing hands-on learning, he will ask me questions of like critical thinking, like, oh, why are we doing this? Why does this need to happen? So it's a lot of critical thinking along with that, and that is something that I really appreciate.
To have Temple University's exhibit be part of the flower show is such a unique experience. This will be the third time that I'm doing it, and I really love it because it's nothing else in the world, nothing I've experienced before. You get to see from the creation, from the design aspect to the actual creation installation at the Philadelphia Convention Center, which is such a unique process. There's so many things that go into that. You're seeing the plants start off dormant to these very lush, dense green foliage plants, and you're seeing the design start from some little context plans and little sketches to a fully built hardscaping installation in the convention center, which is just amazing to see that whole process take out through months and seeing all the people that I work with. It's been such a awesome experience. Once again, there's nothing like it, so I'm grateful for it.
I hope that visitors feel inspired to reconnect with nature. I think we're in a really tough time right now where we're so easily distracted by technology and work and all these things that we're missing a huge part of our natural self. And I really hope that the exhibit inspires people to look at how they take care of themselves, and one of the ways they can do that is connect with plants, connect with nature, and the exhibit does a really beautiful job in the ways that you can engage.